Yesterday we got introduced to a bombshell Easter egg. Now, Luthen's store proved to be very, very valuable for the Star Wars canon. In fact, not only his store, even with his Rakatan Kyber crystal, Luthen is proving to be a gigantic Easter egg machine, because throughout the entire fourth episode, Luthen just dropped Easter eggs left and right, and for that matter, even Mon Mothma, when she got back to her apartment, we got a look-see at the guest list, which had a lot of familiar faces, including Sly Moore. By the way, did you know that in Legends, Sly Moore birthed a child from Palpatine? I know that now in the stupid Rise of Skywalker, it is canon that Palpatine actually had other children in canon. It is a very interesting story to how Sly Moore and Palpatine got to an intimate relationship and actually had a child. That child went on to have an interesting story as well. But let's get back to Luthen and Episode 4. From the moment Mon Mothma walks into his store, it is chock full of surprises, Easter eggs, hidden references that you might have missed. And the biggest out of them all was, of course, Starkiller's armor, or more specifically, Starkiller's helmet. Now, this definitely set the Star Wars internet ablaze. It was something that everybody was talking about. And again, there's a lot more things to talk about, but today we're going to talk about how and when did Luthen get Starkiller's helmet, and is that Starkiller's helmet? If it is, then it's a very interesting journey as to how he got all these artifacts. There's two possibilities that coincide with that helmet. First of all, as I said in yesterday's review, the timeline is perfect. You see, this is the exact timeline of when the Force Unleashed video games happened to take place in Legends. So the timeline checks out. The Force Unleashed is some years before the Battle of Yavin, and we even see by the end Starkiller inspiring the other factions to create what is then known as the Rebellion. The same story seems to be happening right now. The Rebellion is almost forming, and Starkiller's helmet is very interesting to be spotted. However, is Starkiller canon? Unfortunately, right now, it is not. We saw the Rakatan Empire become officially canon with Episode 4, now that Luthen went on to mention them. We know that there was references before, like in the Solo Star Wars movie, and hidden references and meanings of the Rakatan Empire, but this was a direct name drop by Luthen. So now we have pretty much confirmed that more than 30,000 years ago, the Rakatan Empire at least were invaders. So the first possibility, as we talked about, Starkiller is now kind of considered canon. However, there is a second possibility, and this would tell us that Starkiller not only is not canon, and he still belongs in Legends material, expanded universe, but that Starkiller's armor is probably not that special in canon, because that is a Sith Stalker uniform officially. Why this could be the case is because Luthen, before they pass by Starkiller's armor, he starts talking about Utapau and armory and stuff like that. He even shows Mon Mothma this until the girl distracts the driver so that both of them can talk in private. Well, if he is talking about this Utapauan weapon, then we know that the Grand Inquisitor is Pauan and he hails from Utapau. If he has the Grand Inquisitor's ancient relics from his home world in his store and has a Sith Stalker armor in his store as well, this shows that Luthen simply collects anything that is ancient or tradition. It is tradition for the Inquisitors and the Sith Stalkers to wear this. Probably that's how it ended up in his store. As we know, Palpatine was embroiled in Sith tradition. He was very knowledgeable of it, so these armors, these traditions have been passed on in years, and Starkiller's armor, as we know it, Starkiller's armor could be an ancient Sith Stalker armor that was used many, many years ago up until now. But of course, the references were plentiful. There were so many others that I want to focus on and talk about. We got live action stones and murals of the world between worlds. Did you see these stones? Did you notice them? That they perfectly lifted from Star Wars Rebels, and that Luthen may not know what the purpose of these stones actually are. Somebody might one day come for them, don't you think? Then in the background, Luthen, while he's talking to Mon Mothma in the back, we see Sith and Jedi holocrons. I'm not sure if Palpatine is aware that this guy has Jedi and Sith artifacts laying around in his store, otherwise he might get a bit inquisitive and send somebody, maybe his right-hand man. I personally would love to see Starkiller back in the midst in canon. I'm a huge fan of Sam Witwer as well, and his work with not only Starkiller but Darth Maul as well, and he is just a special talent that needs to stick around Star Wars in some way, form, or fashion. Even though this was a huge reference, when I first saw it, it just blew my mind that there it was. It was Starkiller's helmet when he becomes a Sith Stalker. It probably is just a reference, and if we go deeper, if we have a reference book, for example, coming to stores in the future and references this helmet more specifically in Luthen's store, then it could be shown that this helmet that we see is not Starkiller's helmet, but a traditional Sith Stalker helmet that was used for many generations, maybe back in the day. I don't know. There are a lot of possibilities, but until we get a direct confirmation, this seems to be not Starkiller's helmet, but the fans know, and we know why that was put there. There are major hints that Starkiller is coming. I mean, for God's sakes, we only constantly see KOTOR references as well. Starkiller, Galen Marek, the KOTOR series, even Darth Revan has been constantly referenced in Star Wars throughout series and movies, and we see these things come to fruition. I mean, it's not like canon hasn't canonized Legends material before, borrowed from it, or outright just presented it as canon again. It's all a mishmash right now. Canon is still growing 10 years later, and we're here for the ride. I can't wait. And the Andor series has just proved to be a reference machine. Nobody thought that this would be a great Star Wars series and just a drab one, but so far, even the plugins, even the Easter eggs have proven to be very useful, very, tactful, and smartly put in places where you need them to be. The Kyber crystal wasn't just presented as, oh, this belonged to the Rakatan Empire. No, Luthen actually used it for a purpose. He just briefly mentioned the Rakata. Otherwise, this stone signifies money, credits, value that he gave to Cassian Andor as a deposit. So even in that thing, these references are being used smartly and not nonchalantly as other series have. Guys, let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.